Do you find yourself crippled by fear? Do you want to do certain things in life, but we're just so afraid that you do'n't? Maybe it's asking someone out or speaking up in a meeting at work, or going after the relationship that you really desire. What is it that's holding you back from getting what you want? Is it fear? Well, if it is, there is something that you can do about it. Fear is like a dark shadow that follows us around. It grows bigger and darker the more attention we pay to it. But when we turn our light on, when we bring consciousness to it, the shadow shrinks and eventually disappears altogether. Fear is nothing more than a belief about the future. That's it. Fear is a belief about what might happen, what could go wrong, what we think might happen. But the truth is, we don't actually know what will happen in the future. This was a client of mine. She was really struggling with shyness, and she was really afraid of what others might think of her. When she brought consciousness to her fear, when she chose to look at her fear and to acknowledge it and to explore it, she started to realize that it wasn't real. It was just a belief that she had told herself. And when she realized this, the power of the fear started to dissipate. Journaling is. And to acknowledge it and to explore it, then you start to realize that it's not real. Go out there and conquer your fears. Live an abundant life. Create the life that you desire. And remember, fear loses all its power when you bring consciousness to it. It's just a belief that you've told yourself. And when you realize this, the power of the fear starts to dissipate. A powerful tool that can help you to process your emotions and to make sense of your experiences. When you journal, you're able to express your thoughts and feelings in a safe and private space. And this can help you to gain clarity and perspective on your fears. She was afraid of being judged by others. And so she decided to start practicing something called the fear set. Meditation helps you to become more aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. The more you meditate, the more you'll start to see your fear as just that, a fear, not as something to be feared. You'll start to realize that it's not real. It's just a belief that you've told yourself. And when you realize this, the power of the fear will start to dissipate. It helps you to see your fear as just that, a fear. Let's say that you're afraid of public speaking. You might journal about your fear of public speaking. You might write down all the thoughts that run through your mind when you think about public speaking. And as you journal, you might start to notice patterns in your thinking. For example, you might notice that you're always assuming the worst. You might notice that you're always catastrophizing. And when you become aware of these patterns in your thinking, you can start to challenge them. You can start to ask yourself, are these thoughts really true? Am I really as bad at public speaking as I think I am? Or am I just assuming the worst? Not as something to be feared. There are many different ways to meditate, but the key is to find a technique that works for you. If you're new to meditation, I recommend that you start with a guided meditation. You can find many guided meditations online or through apps like Headspace or Calm. In this exercise, you imagine that you're in a situation where you feel shy or anxious, and you imagine yourself responding in a different way, in a way that is more confident and more in line with who you want to be. So she started practicing this exercise, and she did it over and over again until it became second nature to her. And then one day she found herself in a situation where she was feeling shy and anxious. But instead of reacting from that place of fear, she reacted from the place of confidence that she had imagined. She behaved in a way that was more confident and more in line with who she wanted to be. And that was a really powerful experience for her, because she realized that she didn't have to be afraid anymore. We can only guess. So much of the time, our fears are based on assumptions, on stories that we tell ourselves about the future. Stories that may or may not be true. You see, fear thrives in the darkness. Fear thrives when we ignore it, when we try to push it away, when we try to escape from it. You're afraid of what others might think of you when you speak. When you choose to look at your fear and to acknowledge it and to explore it, then you start to realize that it's just that a belief, a story that you've told yourself. You start to realize that it's not actually real. And when you realize this, the power of the fear starts to dissipate. Maybe you're afraid of looking foolish or embarrassing yourself. These are all beliefs that you have about what might happen. But the truth is, you don't actually know what others will think. You're just guessing. And many times our fears are based on these types of stories that we tell ourselves. Stories that may or may not be true. But fear loses all its power when we bring consciousness to it, when we choose to look at our fear and to acknowledge it and to explore it. And this one thing has been shown to have an incredible impact on people's lives. You see, fear is something that we all experience. It's a natural human emotion, but sometimes fear can become a problem. Sometimes fear can be self-limiting. You know, fear of what others think or say, fear of failure, fear of success, even fear of commitment. These are all examples of fear that can limit us, hold us back, and stop us from getting what we want in life. So what do we do about these fears? What do we do about this limiting fear that holds us back from getting what we want? Well, let me share with you something that has helped many people overcome their fears and live more abundant lives. And that is this: fear loses all its power when you bring consciousness to it. It takes courage to face our fears, to look at them, to acknowledge them, to explore them. But the rewards are great. When you do this, you reclaim your power. You become the one who is in control of your life instead of being controlled by your fears. Fear only has power over you when you are unconscious about it. When you bring consciousness to it, when you choose to look at your fear and to acknowledge it and to explore it, then the power of the fear starts to dissipate. The power of the fear starts to melt away like ice cream on a hot summer day. Here's another way to put it. Now, this might sound simple, but it's not always easy to do. And here's why this works. Let's take a step back and look at the nature of fear itself. For example, let's say that you're afraid of public speaking. So what happens when you bring consciousness to your fear? Let me give you another example. You see, another great way to bring consciousness to your fear is through meditation. You see, another great way to bring consciousness to your fear is through journaling. For example, when you bring consciousness to your fear, when you choose to look at your fear, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you're now convinced that fear loses all its power when you bring consciousness to it.